Hello everyone, welcome to my online prep. So this is the class 6 of our revision series for the May 2023 Jaiib exam, and this is for the paper 4, that is retail banking and wealth management. We are discussing the MCQs that are important from the exam point of view, and this is the video for module B. We will be covering the next few chapters. The previous chapters have already been covered and the videos have been uploaded on the YouTube channel of My Online Prep. So if you haven't already seen those videos, go to the channel and watch all the videos that are available for your preparation. So we have the chapters, that is recovery of retail loans, management information system, and securitization. So the MCQs that are important from exam point of view, that are following the latest pattern that has been seen in the previous exams. So practice these MCQs, practice the mock test that you can download from the app through the site of My Online Prep, and this will help you prepare your mind for the exam situation. So without further ado, let us see the first question, that is from recovery of retail loans. The first question from recovery of retail loans is, which among the following signifies the moratorium period? It is asking about the meaning of moratorium period. Options are the period in which borrower required to make payment of the principal amount. Option B is waiting period before which the repayment by way of EMIs begin. Option C, time allowed for borrowers as a holiday of not taking loans. And option D, the period in which the loan gets dispersed. So out of these, the moratorium period is actually option B, that is, it is a waiting period before which the repayment by the way of EMIs begin. So it is, if we say it is the length of time in which the borrower enjoys a holiday, it enjoys a sort of holiday from paying the principal amount or the EMIs. That is, in this period, neither the principal nor the EMI has to be paid. That is, जो borrower होता है वो इस moratorium period में या holiday period में उसको principal या EMI अभी उसने start नहीं किया होता है pay करना, and it is basically a waiting period. Like it is mentioned here, it is a waiting period before which the repayment of the loan through the way of EMIs it begins. So it is the moratorium period, that is the holiday period. ये period खत्म होने के बाद जो repayment होता है through the way of EMIs, whatever the terms and conditions are decided, according to that it starts. So the answer here is option B, that is, it is the waiting period. Okay, next question. The next question is, if the loan installments are not serviced for dash, then the loan becomes NPA. Options are A, 3 months, B, 2 months, C, 1 month, or D, none of the above. So non-performing assets. This is a very important topic because of the recent developments that are being taking place in this sector. So एक कोई loan non-performing asset कब categorize किया जाता है? It is categorized when the loan installments are not serviced for 3 months, that is 90 days or more. Then a loan is categorized as a non-performing assets. If we want to revise the definition, so it is a term that is used by financial institutions on which the loans and advances where the principal is past the due time and the EMIs or the interest payments have not yet been made, and the general loans, they become NPAs when they are outstanding for 90 days or more. If we want to see the classification, so there are 4 sub categories. These are the standard assets, these are the standard assets, wherein there are the NPAs that have been past due for 90 days to 12 months, and here the risk is at a normal level, that is, the normal risk is present. These are the standard assets. Then the second category is the substandard assets. Here the problem actually begins. These are the substandard assets जहाँ पे NPA या फिर जो repayment है, it is due for more than 12 months, that is, it is more than 12 months. और यहाँ पे these are मतलब ये अभी less certain हो जाते हैं कि banks इनको recover कर पाएंगे. These are the substandard. Then third is the doubtful class. Here it is the doubtful क्लास. यहाँ पे डाउटफुल क्लास कब होता है? जब 18 मंथ्स के टाइम पीरियड में ये एंटर हो जाता है. जो नॉन रिपेमेंट होता है, इट इज ड्यू फॉर अराउंड 18 मंथ्स, एटलीस्ट 18 मंथ्स, और यहाँ पे जो बैंक का होता है ना, ये बैंक की रिस्क प्रोफाइल को काफी सिग्निफिकेंटली ये अफेक्ट करता है, बिकॉज देयर इज अ हाई रिस्क दैट इज इन्वॉल्व. एंड द फोर्थ कैटेगरी इज द लॉस एसेट्स. द लॉस assets जो अब extended period of non repayment आ गया, and the banks they accept the fact that it will not be repaid, the entire amount of the loan must be written off completely. So these are the four subcategories of the NPAs, and the answer here is option A, that is 3 months. Okay, next. The question is, rescheduling mainly happens in, there are statements given and you need to choose the correct statements. So the statements are: first auto loan, second gold loan, third home loan, or fourth education loan. Out of these the options are A 1 and 2, B 1, 2 and 4, C 3 only, and D 3 and 4. So rescheduling mainly happens in, it actually happens mostly in the home loan and education loan. So the option here is 3 and 4, that is D. D is the correct option. If we see what is rescheduling, so it is a new loan. We can say it is a new loan that replaces the outstanding balance on the older loan, and it is paid over a longer period. It is paid over a longer period with lower interest. Longer period with lower इंटरेस्ट. तो कोई अगर जो पहले का ओल्ड लोन होता है वो रीपेमेंट नहीं हो पा रहा, उसमें कुछ आउटस्टैंडिंग बैलेंस है, तो उसको एक न्यू लोन में कन्वर्ट कर दिया जाता है. इट इज द रीशेड्यूलिंग ऑफ द ओल्ड लोन इनटू अ न्यू लोन. एंड इसके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या होती हैं? लॉन्गर रीपेमेंट पीरियड होता है, और जो लोअर इंटरेस्ट होते हैं ये इस पे अप्लाई होते हैं. ये तब होता है अगर जो कस्टमर है वो अपने लोन के टेन्योर को एक्सटेंड करना चाह रहा है, एंड एट लोअर मंथली इंस्टॉलमेंट rates. And this happens mainly in the cases of home loan and education loan. ताकि ये मेजरली इनमें किया गया था ताकि जो स्लिपरी एज पे थे कि वो नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स में कन्वर्ट होने ही वाले हैं, तो उससे उसको बचाया जा सके. तो एनपीए की कैटेगरी में आने से इस एसेट को रोका जा सके. एंड ऑल्सो दिस वाज टू अट्रैक्ट मोर लोन्स इन दिस एरिया. सो दिस happened. Also another information is that rescheduling happens in the credit card, in the credit card as well as personal loan segments. Personal loan segments, since the interest rate here is high and it is unsecured in nature, so mostly rescheduling is done in these cases. So here the correct option for this question is D, that is 3 and 4, home loan and education loan. Okay, we'll see the next question now. The question says, each debt recovery tribunal is presided over by dash. It is regarding the debt recovery tribunal. Which individual or position presides over the debt recovery tribunal? Options are A, IS officer, B, chief presiding officer, C, presiding officer, or D, both 2 and 3. So the correct option here is presiding officer. Each DRT, every DRT has one presiding officer that presides over all the functions of the DRT. If we see the characteristics, then the presiding officer is of the position of a district judge, of a district judge, and they are qualified to become a district judge. Apart from that, the age limit is given 65 years, or they shall preside for 5 years tenure, whichever is less. Either they attain the age of 65, or they can tenure, they can preside over for 5 years, whichever is less. And an appeal against the order of the DRT is made to the DRAT, that is the Debts Recovery Appellate Tribunal. So this is how it works. अब DRTs को actually introduce कब किया गया था? It was introduced because जो NPS से, नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स से, बैड लोन से बहुत ज़्यादा इंक्रीज हो रहे थे. तो और जब सिविल कोर्ट्स में उनके केसेस को ले जाया जा रहा था, तो उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम लग रहा था उनको सॉल्व करने में. द प्रोसीडिंग्स वर ड्रैग्ड ऑन फॉर ईयर्स. सो दिस वाज फॉर्म, दैट इज द recovery of the debts due to the banks and financial institutions bill. This is the RDDBFI, recovery of debts due to the banks and financial institutions bill. This bill was passed in August 1993, and under this bill the DRTs were formed. Later on, now this bill is known as the Recovery of Debts and Bankruptcy Act that is the RDB Act of 1993. So under this act now the DRTs are formed. This is the whole functioning of the DRT, and it is presided over by the presiding officer. Next. The question is, in which of the following cases DRT cannot hear claims on the part of the lenders? So this question is again from DRT, so it is a very important topic. इसमें पूछा गया कि DRT किस तरह की claims को वहां पर address नहीं करता है. The statements given are suits, customer claims, claim of damages or deficiency of services, breach of contract, criminal negligence, and out of these the options that are given are only 1 and 2, only 2 and 3, only 3, 4 and 5, or 1 to 5 all. So out of these 5 statements that are given, which claims cannot be heard by the DRT? The correct option here is C, that is only 3, 4 and 5. The DRT is empowered to pass the comprehensive orders. It can travel beyond the orders that are given by the civil procedures to render the complete justice. It is to be provided to the bank and the financial institutions. It can also hear the cross suits as well as counter claims. So cross suits and counter claims can be dealt with by the DRT, but it cannot, however, it cannot listen to the claims of damages or deficiency of services, breach of contract, and criminal negligence on the part of the lender. If these are on the part of the lender, then these cannot be dealt with by the DRT. So the correct option here is only 3, 4 and 5. Okay, let's move on. This question is related to the Surface Act. So according to this question, on what value the auction can be made to the securities under Surface Act? It is related to the value of the auction of the NPAs. So the first option that is given is A, book value, B, market value, C, historical value, or D, approved value. So actually Surface Act के अंदर जो auction का value create किया जाता है, it is according to the market value, and it is 95% of the fair market value of the fair market value. So market value is used at 95%. If we see a few things about the Surface Act, so Surface Act is the securitization and reconstruction of the financial assets and enforcement of the security interest. That is the Surface Act of 2002. So it empowers the banks and the financial institutions to take possession of the residential or the commercial properties. The banks or the financial institutions are given the power that अगर क्या होता है कोई डिफॉल्ट होता है फ्रॉम द पार्ट और द साइड ऑफ द बोरोवर, तो वो जो रेसिडेंशियल कमर्शियल प्रॉपर्टी होती है बोरोवर की, वो उसको क्या कर सकते हैं, उसका पोजेशन ले सकते हैं अंडर द सरफेसी एक्ट. एंड इफ वी सी दैट when the Surface Act can be initiated or can be used by the banks, when the loan account must have been classified as NPA. This is the first step. जब उस लोन अकाउंट को NPA categorized किया जा चुका है. Also the loan amount must be more than rupees 1 lakh, and the outstanding dues should be 20% and above of the principal and the interest and so on. So सरफेसी एक्ट सिर्फ तभी यूज हो सकता है जब ये सारे कंडीशंस फुलफिल होते हैं. और सरफेसी एक्ट के अंदर जो बैंक्स हैं वो क्या कर सकते हैं, बैंक्स या फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस वो लोन रिकवरी के लिए रेसिडेंशियल या कमर्शियल प्रॉपर्टीज का पोजेशन ले सकते हैं, एंड दे कैन पुट इट ऑन ऑक्शन टू रिकवर द लोन्स which should be put to auction at the market value of the asset. Okay, next question. Now we have questions from the next chapter, that is the management information system. This is a very easy chapter. अगर आप इसको revise कर सकते हैं तो यहाँ के questions easily solve किए जा सकते हैं और score किया जा सकता है. So let us see the first question from this chapter. First question is, dash is the purpose of MIS. It is a very direct question. The statements are given. 1. To provide reliable and organized data for decision making. 2. To provide information to the managers for decision making. 3. To automate manufacturing process. And 4. To develop marketing strategies. And the options are A 1 and 2, B 1 and 4, C 2, 3 and 4, or D 3 only. So MIS का मेन पर्पस क्या है? टू प्रोवाइड रिलायबल एंड ऑर्गेनाइज्ड डेटा फॉर डिसीजन मेकिंग and to provide information to the managers for decision making. To automate the manufacturing process, this is not a function, and to develop marketing strategies is also not a function of MIS. Only these two are the functions. So the correct option is A, 1 and 2. So MIS or the management information system is actually a computer based system that helps the managers by providing them with the tools to organize, evaluate, and efficiently manage the information. It is a tool for the managers, so it helps the managers. और जो मेन पर्पस क्या होता है, ये होता है डिसीजन मेकिंग के लिए, इंफॉर्मेशन को गैदर करना. और यहाँ पे इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है कि क्वालिटी इंफॉर्मेशन हो, क्वालिटी इंफॉर्मेशन. इफ द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट इज प्रोवाइडेड इज रॉन्ग और नॉट रिलेटेड टू द इशू दैट इज इन क्वेश्चन, तो वो जो प्रॉब्लम है उसको रिजॉल्व नहीं करेगा. सो क्वालिटी इंफॉर्मेशन दैट इज रिलायबल एंड स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. फिर नॉट जस्ट प्रोवाइडिंग द इंफॉर्मेशन, ऑल्सो स्टोरेज, so that this information can be retrieved or retrieved at any time or the convenience of the managers. And if we see the managers, they are having four functions in the organization, that is planning, organizing, leading, as well as controlling. These are the four functions that are performed by the managers, and here the information is most crucial if they want to plan the strategies, if they want to organize the complete functioning of the staff and the other members, leading them, providing them guidance and monitoring, as well as controlling the activities or bringing some changes in the system. So for all these, MIS or the management information system is very important because it provides reliable and organized data for decision making to the managers. So the correct answer is A, 1 and 2. Okay, now we'll move on to the next question. The question is, the function of the index monitoring system in the MIS is. Function of the index monitoring system. Options are A, to track employee performance, B, to manage office expenses, C, to fulfill legal needs, or D, to monitor marketing strategies. So here index monitoring system is actually for the monitoring of the various ratios that are implemented in the banking system. It is related to the various ratios in the banking operations that are internal to the banking business. Some of these ratios are the cash reserve ratio, the statutory liquidity ratio, and so on. So the index monitoring system is used to manage these, and it is for the purpose to fulfill the legal needs, because these ratios are set by the RBI. Let's say for the banks, that is the CRR, that is the amount of assets that banks have to keep with the central bank, and SLR is the amount of the liquid assets that they have to keep with themselves as deposits the part. Then index monitoring system is used so as to monitor these ratios in the banking system. So C is the correct option. Next, the question says, the humanistic factors affecting the implementation of MIS in public organizations are, or we can understand this, it is asking about what leads to certain issues or defaults in the implementation of MIS. Options are lack of understanding of employees, software and information system, B, inadequate education of the users, C, lack of participation of the managers and users in system design, or D, lack of investment in the environmental aspects. So out of these, the humanistic factors have been asked, and the correct option is C, that is lack of participation of the managers and users in the system design is the humanistic factor. So we know that MIS should provide the constant advice. It is a continuous process, so constant advice to the account holders on the status and operation of their accounts, and this will not only help the employees but also the customers manage their domestic or the business activities in the tight monetary situation. So this information is to be provided for the welfare of the कस्टमर्स एज वेल. सो अगर जो मैनेजर्स हैं उनके साइड से या फिर जो यूजर्स के साइड से पार्टिसिपेशन, लैक ऑफ पार्टिसिपेशन होगा, तो मैनेजमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम सही से वर्क नहीं कर पाएगा. अदर ह्यूमनिस्टिक फैक्टर्स दैट कैन affect the implementation of MIS. First, lack of understanding. If there is a lack of understanding of the needs of the users by the designers, then if there's the information lack of information of the managers and the users, अगर उनको पता ही नहीं है कि एग्जैक्टली उनको क्या चाहिए है, किस तरीके से उनको चेंज चाहिए किसी प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस में, तो इंफॉर्मेशन के लैक की वजह से उसको इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं किया जा सकता. देन we see that there's the lack of participation of managers. This is a very big factor. And then there's the lack of understanding of the managers of the software system, as well as the lack of accuracy in the data collected. If there's the lack of accuracy in the data collected, तो यहाँ पे ये सारी ही चीजें हैं जो फैक्टर्स यहाँ पे अफेक्ट कर सकते. नाउ देयर इज अ रिलेटेड ऑप्शन हियर, लैक ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ एम्प्लॉइज सॉफ्टवेयर एंड इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम. तो यहाँ पे अगर एम्प्लॉइज की जगह मैनेजर्स होता, so both of these statements would have been correct. So but now here the correct option is only C, that is lack of participation of managers and users in the system design. Okay, next question is, dash are the environmental factors affecting the implementation of MIS in public organization. So now this is related to the environmental factors. The options are A, lack of evaluation of the environmental aspects in the MIS, B, lack of understanding of software information system, C, lack of investment in environmental aspects, और D, lack of accuracy in data collection. तो हमने just अभी देखा कि understanding, lack of understanding and lack of accuracy, तो ये तो humanistic factors हैं, so these can be eliminated. Then lack of investment in environmental aspects, this is not the exact answer. The most exact answer is lack of evaluation of the environmental aspects. अगर environmental aspects पे ध्यान नहीं दिया गया है, environmental aspects such as the culture and policies of the organization, the infrastructure of the organization, even external factors such as the government regulations, these should be considered during the design process. अगर ये सारी चीजें इफेक्टिव नहीं होंगी, ये सारे फैक्टर्स अगेंस्ट या नेगेटिव में वर्क कर रहे होंगे, तो मैनेजमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम सही से वर्क नहीं कर पाएगा. So these are the environmental factors that can affect the implementation of MIS in the public organization. Okay, next. Now we have questions from the next chapter, that is securitization. And the first question is, special types of securitization include A, master trust to handle revolving credit card balances or insurance, B, trust credit card or grantor trust or owner trust, C, meter trust and insurance, D, owner trust and insurance trust. So here the correct option is A, that is master trust to handle revolving credit card business or the insurance. So this is the right answer. These are the special types of securitization. If we want to take a quick revision of securitization, तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है, this includes pooling of the various types of contractual debt, such as इसमें क्या क्या आता है, residential mortgages, then commercial mortgages, and auto loans, credit card debt. All these obligations, these are pooled in, and then these are sold to the third party. These are sold to the third party. The related cash flows, these are sold to the third party investors as securities. These are sold to the third party investors as securities. This is known as securitization, and these securities may be described as the bonds, pass-through securities, or collateralized debt obligations, that is the CDOs. This way securitization works. So here the special type of securitization is option A. Okay, next. The question says advantages of securitization to the issuer are. So securitization process में बहुत सारे participants हैं जो involved होते हैं. First is the originator or the first person wherein the securities are for the first time being securitized. Then there is the special purpose vehicles or the SPVs, that are the companies or the trusts. Then there is the investors and so on. So there are advantages for all of these, and the question is asking about the advantages of securitization to the issuer. Options are A, reduce funding cost or asset liability mismatch, lower capital needs or locking in profits. B, transfer of risk of balance sheet derivatives, boost earnings, admissibility of the future surpluses, availability of immediate liquidity. C, both A and B, or D, large size structuring. So here we can say the correct option is C, that is both A and B. All of these are the advantages of securitization that are provided to the issuer. So it reduces the fund cost, it actually reduces the capital needs and locking in profits, all of these and so on. So these are the benefits or advantages of securitization to the issuer. Next question, again it is related to the advantages. Advantages or to the investors of securitization. The options are potentially earning a higher rate of return, comma, portfolio diversification. B, complying formalities and regulations. C, cost in issuing will be less, or D, both B and C. So the benefits or the advantages of securitization to the investors are A, potentially earning a higher rate of return and portfolio diversification. So actually investors किसी भी asset में invest इसीलिए करते हैं क्योंकि उनको higher rate of return चाहिए होता है या फिर वो अपने portfolio को और ज़्यादा diversify करना चाहते हैं. So all of these advantages are provided under securitization, and apart from that, isolation of credit risk. Credit risk is reduced when they invest in the securitization from the parent entity. These are all the advantages of securitization to the investors. Now there are various forms of risks that might arise. These are the liquidity risk, then there's the credit risk, early amortization, and then the currency interest risk. All of these can be assumed by the investors under the securitization. Okay, but the advantages is option A, that is the right answer. The next question is, what is the main purpose of originator bank or the banks behind the securitization? Options are A, gain credit worthiness, B, transferring pooled asset to SPV, C, immediate cash payment, and D, all of the above. So if we see the steps that are involved in securitization, so the first step is when there's the sale of the pool of assets. This is done to the SPV. So this is the first step. Then the second step is generating the flows generating the cash flows from the asset or the pool of securities or the pool of assets to the third party investors, to the third party investors by issuance of the tradable debt and the securities to them. So here the purpose of the originator or the banks has been asked, and it is B, that is transferring pooled asset to SPV. This is the first step, and they make sale of the pooled asset to the SPV in return of the immediate cash payment, and for this transfer they get the immediate cash payment, and the next steps, these are conducted by the special purpose vehicles and the third party investors. So the correct answer here is option B, that is transferring pooled asset to the SPV. Okay, next question. The question is, the primary purpose of the minimum retention requirement is A, to ensure minimum periods of securitization, B, to ensure minimum holding period, C, to ensure originating banks have a continuing stake in the performance of the securitized asset, or D, none of the above. So let us see what actually is MRR. So the minimum retention requirement or the minimum retention period means the period that is identified for a service component in a pricing schedule or that is publicized during the customer. It is required to maintain service. The customer is required to maintain service for this period to avoid the payment of certain credits, the waived charges, or the amortized charges. So for this period, the customer has to maintain the service, and this is so as to ensure the originating banks have a continuing stake in the performance of the securitized asset. So option C is the right answer. और जो MRR है that has been prescribed by RBI for the assets or that have an original maturity of more than 24 months, it is 10%. It is 10% of the cash flows. It is 10% of the cash flows from the assets that are transferred. So this is the MRR, and it is so that the banks have a continuing stake in the performance of the securitized assets. So C is the right option. And now we have the last question of today's session, that is, The security receipts which are issued by ARC, the asset reconstruction companies, is given to, the options are rating agencies, traders, the board of ARC, or the qualified institutional buyers. So here the correct option is D, that is qualified institutional buyers. Whatever security receipts that are generated, these are issued by the ARC, these are given to the qualified institutional buyers. So ARC का function क्या होता है? ARC, they actually buys the debtors, it buys the debtors of the bank at a mutually agreed value, and then it attempts to recover the assets or the debts that are associated with the securities by itself. So ये क्या करते हैं, जो एनपीएस हैं ये इनको कम करने की कोशिश करते हैं. सो what they do is they buy a particular part that is agreed upon of the debt from the banks, and this way they perform the function of resolving of the NPAs. So the ARCs, these are registered under RBI and the SARFAESI Act and the SARFAESI Act of 2002. Apart from that, what they do is all the rights that were held by the lender, now all the rights that were first held by the lender in respect of the debt would be transferred to the ARC, and then the required funds to purchase such debts, they can be raised from the qualified buyers or the qualified institutional buyers. So this is how the ARCs, they work. Okay, so that's all. These were the questions for today's session. We have covered these chapters, that is recovery of retail loans, management information system and securitization in this video. अब क्या करना है, नेक्स्ट वीडियो से पहले ये जो सारे टॉपिक्स इधर हैं, आपको लगता है अगर किसी भी टॉपिक में आप अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट हो, फुल्ली कॉन्फिडेंट नहीं हो, तो जाके फिर से उसको रिवाइज करो, अपने नोट्स को देखो जहां पे भी लैग करे, बिकॉज दीज टॉपिक्स आर द मोस्ट श्योर शॉर्ट टॉपिक्स. यहाँ से क्वेश्चंस आना बहुत ज्यादा इसके चांसेस है. So it is important that you revise these topics and not just these topics, but जो पहले भी वीडियोस जिनको अपलोड किया जा चुका है पहले के चैप्टर्स के लिए, मॉड्यूल ए के लिए, उन सबको देखो और फिर उसके बाद अपना रिवीजन को कंप्लीट करो. So this is how the revision should proceed. Practice as many mock tests as you can and see these videos, revise all the topics, and also if you want to see more videos like these are being uploaded on a daily basis for your revision. So subscribe to the YouTube channel of My Online Prep. Also like and share this video. We'll meet again in the next class. Keep learning with us. Thank you.